right club. Be the right club today.
Johnny, that's better than most.
How about in?
That is better than most. Better than most!
Expect anything different?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the first of two No Laying Up live shows. I am Soly. The live shows, of course, presented by High Noon. The tea. Here's the tea about High Noon's all-new vodka iced tea. It is made with real vodka, real iced tea with no added sugar, no carbonation. If you are a hard tea lover who is done with the sugary-based malt teas, you are going to love new High Noon vodka iced tea. 90 calories. High Noon vodka iced tea is great for any occasion under the sun. It comes in 4 delicious flavors you've got to try. Original peach, lemon, and raspberry. I am going peach here. It is still summer where I am. It is not with the guys I'm about to check in with, but they can visit highnoonspirits.com to find a pack near them. And so can you. Calling in live from across the pond, Mr. Cody McBride, Mr. Big Randy just got done doing AIG Women's Radio this week. Fellas, how we doing?
Oh my God, Soly, literally buzzing. I'm not sure the energy inside of this radio cabin booth could truly be any higher. That was the most extraordinary tournament. I mean, just Cody got to walk with the final group at an Old Course Open Championship. I was in the booth. It just was so much fun. I can't wait to get into it.
Jordan Perez is also with us. She is in the media center. She's going to be popping in and out. I know she's going to be doing a little bit of writing as well. Hello, Jordan. Guys, if you don't mind, I'm going to run through a few. I'm just going to run through what happened today in today's tournament, this weekend's tournament. Really, you guys did a halfway show on Friday. Nelly Korda had a 3-shot lead going into Saturday, but a tough stretch on the back nine on Saturday, including an OB ball on the 16th hole, brought her in at 75. She fell 2 back of Jie Shin. Lilia Vu entered the final round 1 back. Lydia Ko was just 3 back. We were teed up for an incredible final round. The conditions were there all week. The front 9 here on Sunday was the gettable side, but it was slow. Major backups. I'm sure we're going to talk about some of that. Some traffic issues out there, but Nelly made birdies on the 5th, 7th, 9th, and 10th, and got up and down from the Stroth bunker on the 11th hole. It looked like it was Nelly time at that point. Lilia Vu and Jie Shin scuffled a little bit in this stretch. They both bogeyed the 11th hole. Lilia also bogeyed the 10th hole. Nelly Korda was in the middle of 13 fairway, ahead by 2 at that moment. And then Nelly proceeded to make a massive series of unforced errors on the 14th hole. She pitched over the green with her 3rd shot from not that difficult of a spot. She failed to get her chip onto the green from an easy lie. Then she chipped it several feet past the hole with her 5th shot. I thought she could have easily lagged it up there, putted it up there, then missed the bogey putt, a double bogey out of nowhere that was just the most bizarre sequence of the entire day, I think, and got to be a moment she's going to be kicking herself. And then from there, the action got extremely good. Lydia Ko birdied the 14th hole in the group ahead of her to get to -7. She gave it right back on the 15th hole. I'd marked this at 1:10 Eastern time. It was Lilia Vu, Nelly Korda, Jie Shin, and Lydia Ko all tied at 6 under par, with Lilia and Jie on the 16th hole, and Lydia was teeing off on the 17th. That is 4 former number ones, tied for the lead on Sunday at the Old Course, final major championship of the year. It was incredible. On 17, Lydia hit a fantastic fairway wood from the fairway. It skirted the bunker, went up to about 25 feet. The rain was pissing sideways at that point. She made it look like an easy par, but it was only easy because of how good that second shot was. There was she was putting out on the 18th hole. She stuffs it in there tight on 18 with a rainbow. The sunshine was flooding there on the green as she makes a birdie putt on the 18th hole. Nelly had a really good look for birdie on 16 from about 12 feet, but missed it left. Nelly then pulls her tee shot on the 17, gets in the road hole bunker, plays out right of the pin, and this is right around the time that Lydia's making her birdie putt to get to 7 under par. It already goes in. It'd be impossible for Nelly to be unaware of what's going on right in front of her. There's no better place to look up from a green to see what's happening on the hole above you. You hear the roar when Lydia makes her putt, and Nelly has a 10-footer for par that doesn't even come close to reaching the hole that had to go in, doesn't even get there. She falls 2 back. And it was just unexplainable. I'm really struggling to wrap my head around it. Back 9, final group, G.A. Shinnon and Lilia Vu. It was taking them a little while. G.A. had some pace problems on the back 9. But Lilia could just not keep the ball off the left side of the golf course on the back 9. It is very hard to win from there. She's got a birdie the 18th. She hits the road with her tee shot, gets to 32 yards away from the pin, but pitches well past. Leaves a putt to get into a playoff at the Women's Open way short, inexcusably. Misses the short par putt to cost herself $300,000. Lydia Ko has won the AIG Women's Open. That always takes longer to get through all the play-by-play than it looks like it's going to. But, man, it was an action-packed, awesome freaking golf tournament to watch on television. And, guys, something is telling me that the in-person experience was even better, and I don't know what that is.
It was incredible. I want to defer to Cody because I was in this radio booth. I was having the time of my life. I, like you, Soly, maybe with a little better TV watching experience, but I was listening to everybody out on the course. Cody, you were out there. What was that moment like? Just describe that back 9 and going up eventually to 18.
Well, the first thing I'll say is that yesterday when I was out on the course calling the golf on the radio, I was with Lydia Ko, and she hit the ball amazing, not only off the tee, but her iron striking were so dialed. It was just that every time that she needed to be within 20 feet, she was right at like 30, 35 feet. And she was so persistent and dependable. And you could tell that like she had momentum on her side. And I knew waking up this morning that as long as she continued to be as dialed as she was, that she has an excellent chance to be in this tournament. And we sit here today as, her being another major champion, adding another major championship to her resume after an unbelievable summer. We started out this year being like, where's Lydia Ko at? She hasn't had the year that we all kind of anticipated, because if people think back, I mean, she played great. She started out kind of on fire, and then she got clipped by Nelly at the drive on, and it's like she disappeared. Nobody really knew what was going on, but she's so steadfast, determined, resilient. She's such an awesome person. And like what it kind of reminds me of is these Yeti products that we use. It's also dependable. They hold up no matter what the conditions are. You put something cold in them, they stay cold. You put something hot in them, they stay hot. And just like Lydia, they got these Yeti luggage, this backpack that just happens to be sitting back here. It's got double sewn zippers on it and everything. I've been lugging this thing all around Gold Course all week, Soly. It's incredible. What I love about Yeti the most is that they sponsor all of our LPGA content throughout the entire year. We couldn't do this. We couldn't travel if it wasn't for Yeti. So thank you to Yeti, like first and foremost. And secondly, everybody go buy some at Yeti.com, because if you want us to continue to support the best women golfers in the world, Yeti's making it happen. So what do you think, Lydia?
I have nothing left to teach you. The student has become the master.
That was a PhD little segue there. But no, in all sincerity, I'm just looking back over Lydia Ko's week. She dropped 6 shots. She made 6 bogeys over the course of 4 rounds, no double bogeys. Just the epitome of steadiness, and her weekend performance, as you mentioned yesterday, she was just super solid. Didn't make many putts, but was undeterred. And you roll forward to today, and she did drop the shot on 15, but we saw Nelly get in trouble. We saw Nelly make that inexplicable double on 16 in the 3rd round. Lilia made a double and dropped some shots. It just was, in hindsight, right? It's easy to see, but like it was Lydia the whole time, wasn't it? She was just truly unflappable and played the exact style of golf that wins you an Open championship at the Old Course. It's so impressive.
Yeah, it's double bogeys out there that'll get you, and that's definitely what changed the outcome of this AIG Women's Open. I'm sorry, because I still have radio stuff on the brain, and you get used to saying, you have to say certain things, so you say the entire tournament name. And when you say
you want to do full name, you want to do the old school scene. I feel like we just need to cuss to get back into the podcast mode.
You have to think so hard about
cock balls.
what you're gonna say and how you're gonna say it. It's coursing through my brain right now. But the defining moment today of this major championship, the entire golf tournament knew when Nelly doubled 14. And it was like, you know, I was a group behind her, but we were a good half a hole, almost a whole hole behind, because GI is like painfully slow. And I know we're going to talk about slow play with Jenny and Nelly's group as well. But it's just like, as soon as that double happened, we were lucky that there's a leaderboard right next to the putting green. And Lilia like turned and was looking at the leaderboard, and she's like, wow. Like, she thought that she was still like 3 behind. And she's like, I'm going to win this major championship.
Yeah.
And her and Cole, like, they gave each other like this look of like, we're going to go take this thing, and stormed off to the next tee. We were on 13 at the time. Stormed off to 14, birdied 14, got to 15. And then it's just like her ball striking went away. And that's like really what the defining moment of it was. When Lydia needed to hit the shots, execute the shots that matter coming down the stretch, she did that with precision. And she deserves to win this championship, because it wasn't the big number took out Nelly Korda, but for the other really 2 chasers, Lilia Vu and Jihai Shin, it was ball striking. Like, you can't put yourself trying to make, 55, 60 footers for birdie when you're trying to make up, space like that.
Yeah. I think what's going to get overlooked too, Lilia, this is where I don't want to confuse them. Yeah. Lydia she missed the green at 16, right? Coming off, as you said, that bogey on 15. That was a huge spot. And she calmly got that up and down, hit an excellent chip shot to, 3 feet. And then the road hole, yeah, it's not going to be a birdie, but the conditions had deteriorated at that point. It was pissing. Cody knows, he was out there. It was pissing rain sideways. And she's playing the most difficult hole on the course, tied for the lead, and has a fairway wood in. I mean, that's the other thing. We're going to get into like how
it played,
how wonderful this course is with the distances that the women play it at, but needing to hit a fairway wood into 17, and she hits just the perfect shot. It lands short. It skirts the road hole, rolls up there, and it's a stress-free par. Obviously, birdie's 18. It just was so impressive. Soly, I want to ask you, in our deep dive podcast to start the week, we had went into Lorena Ochoa won the first Open Championship here at the Old Course. Stacey Lewis won the second. Lorena's a Hall of Famer. Stacey is a very important person in the women's game. Looking at the men's side, you got Tiger, you got Jack, you got Sevi. How cool and how important it seems like winning the Open here is it's a marker for a generational talent. And I think that's what's so cool about Lydia, because that is what she has been. And now it's like she put the exclamation point on it.
Honestly, I hate to say it this way, but the more I've thought about it since it happened, was like, Lydia needed this win badly. Like, 2 major, Chevron and Evian cannot be the only 2 majors that Lydia wins in her
Totally
career.
agree.
Like, her resume is, her impact on the game is that much better, and not in like a just a hype way, right? It's not like she was supposed to be a prodigy. I hate to make this comparison, but not like Michelle Wee, right? Whose career I don't think never really was fully realized. Lydia had a fully realized career extremely early on. It just didn't have the major resume to back it. Like, now you win a gold medal and you go win at the Old Course. Like, 3 majors, it almost like validates the other 2 and makes them feel a lot more real now. And so this week was such just an exacting test of golf. It was everything I could ever want out of a golf course, and especially the Old Course, right? I think when the men go to the Old Course, it is bomb and gouge, driver, flip wedge. A lot of the bunkers aren't in play, even with a lot of the tee boxes. And it's like, dude, I still love when they go there, because I still think it's the most fun golf course in the world. Would love to see them get the conditions the women actually got this week, but it still was. It is not the complete set of tests that this championship was, and there's just so many shots, and that's what is so. It's kind of, I don't know what the video game is called. Is it Monkey Run? Is that like a phone game or something where you got to like Temple Run, where you got to like run?
That's just an ad.
you got to like run this crazy gauntlet of challenges and like you never get to stop. That's what the old course is. And I was like, Nelly ran most of it. That was the hardest thing for me to like digest today. Was like, dude, what she did she bogeyed the 6th hole, but what she did between 5 through 11 when the wind was really whipping out on that extended part, she had these downwind putts that like she had to play really delicately and trust that the wind was going to get it to the hole. And they did, and they kept falling in, made long birdie putts on, after, she was putting from 130 feet or something like that on 5, but two putted that one, made the birdie on 7, did what she did around 9 and 10. It was like, that's her tournament, man. And it's not even like the old course tripped her up. That's the part that has to sit so
it felt self-inflicted, didn't it?
Yes, it was, man. It was just like Lilia made a fantastic pitch into the 14th hole that was not, ended up making her birdie, gained 3 shots on Nelly on that hole alone for it's just it was not the hardest shot that really got her. And she made bogey on the road hole as well, but at that point it was still pretty close to being too late.
So let me ask you this on Lydia, going back to Lydia, I think it's worth at least discussing, just wondering how much golf she has left, right? And with the gold medal now, with the Open Championship, I'm confident she's going to play out the rest of the year. But beyond that, who knows, Cody? It certainly, I think this could be the last time we see Lydia at the old course as a active professional golfer.
Yeah, well, that's part of it. The funny thing that the RNA does is that they don't really announce the venues that far in the future. So that's something. You're right. She already said that she would not be in the Olympics again. So that's at least 4 years from now, she does not plan on playing professional golf anymore.
Yeah.
Because she 100% would qualify for New Zealand, unless I'm missing some barn burner that's going to come out in the next 4 years. But I think, coming into this week, there's like 3 situations that were dream world situations of what would happen. The first and foremost, I think if you ask anybody who attended this event, it would have been some form of redemption for Charlie Hall last year at Walton Heath. She finished solo second, and for her to win here at St. Andrews and the history and everything that played, I think that would probably have been number 1. Number 2 would have been Lydia Ko. And I didn't realize, I guess, how big of a deal it would be, but there's a lot of countries out there besides the United States that put a ton more weight behind the Olympics than we do. Yeah. And it's one of those moments where being around people and talking about it that aren't really in, I guess, our golf bubble, that that the Olympics, the golf competition side of it, obviously we have our gripes and complaints about it. But what it is it's putting golf on a platform to countries that are expanding their golf programs, their developmental programs, and really making it so there's so many people else that are getting into the game. And she's like the perfect role model for that. And I would say, just because I'm going down them, the third option would have been, Nelly Korda winning her second major of the year after this unbelievable run. I saw a comment in here earlier from somebody. Jim Frater in the chat is tuning in and saying that Nelly is overrated. Well, I wouldn't exactly go that far because it one hell of a season, and everybody cools off, and it's almost impossible to keep that momentum going for that long. But she flat out made mistakes, at a place like St. Andrews, where you cannot make mistakes at the distance that they hit the ball, the trajectory that they are hitting these shots into these greens. She just got exposed, and I'm pretty sure she knows that.
So, let's talk about Nelly then, because it's a fascinating conversation, I think. And Soly, I'll ask you first. We talked about some self-inflicted errors that she had that ultimately proved to be the difference, but she still finished tied for second. Yeah. She had a great week, right? But she carries so much expectations. Is that fair? And why does this feel so disappointing with Nelly?
It's kind of, is it fair? It depends on how you want to look into that, right? Because we tune into these tournaments to see who's going to win them, right? And it's what's the lasting memory of them is going to be, did you execute the shots needed, in the highest pressure to win the championship, right? And that did not happen, right? And I think we all in the media, everyone in the media tends to have, you zoom in on whoever finished second. This feels a little bit like Rory at Pinehurst, honestly, in terms of, combo of Rory at the old course and Rory at Pinehurst. Like, dude, you remember what Rory did in the middle of that round? It was incredible, dude. He was making the putts. He was the dude that was like, I am asserting myself in this championship. I've had my majors on Sundays when I've just kind of withered away and not been a factor, but I'm a factor now. And he just did two horrifically dumb things coming in. Same exact thing with Nelly. I mean, it was she did the hard parts and then just did not execute what she needed to win the championship. She had some good quotes afterwards, basically high road and saying, I'll take a lot of good that comes from this. But there's just very few people in golf on the men's or women's side that when they get the lead, we know it's done deal. It's almost, I don't know if there's any. I don't know if there's any currently in golf. There was one that did it for a very long time and screwed up how we think of a lot of these things. But she just, it's going to sound way easier when I say it like this, but all she needed to do was play it even par from the middle of 13 fairway on it, or hitting a pitch shot from 14 in a par 5 and a reachable for it, the 18th. I know there's some hard holes in between there, but play it even from there and it's all yours. And I cannot understand what happened on that 14th hole.
So Cody, can I put you on the spot a little bit?
Of course.
Nelly, she makes a 7 today on the 14th. She made famously a 10 at the women's, the U.S. Women's Open earlier this year. She made a bunch of 7s at the Olympics. Like, I just find myself, Soly, to your point, like when Nelly's going well there in the middle of her round today, I still don't really have just the utmost confidence in her. And I'm wondering, Cody, if you feel that same way. And like, is it just a matter of she's not able to control the damage when things start going a little sideways?
Yeah, we talked about this in both the Olympic recap show, talked about it after the end of the U.S. Women's Open. It's like, Nelly is fine until there just happens to be like this one little tiny paper cut. And before you know it, that paper cut has turned into like this massive just bleeding that cannot be contained and nobody has a tournament. And like
holy shit, that escalated quickly.
Holy cow, what the hell is going on? She got that going on right now and it ain't fun. And I've been,
Can I pause this just to say though, she survived 2 lacerations. Like Saturday,
yes.
That back 9 Saturday, I thought she was
you're
cooked.
right.
I
but
thought
people,
she was cooked.
People at the end of Saturday, I think, her birdieing 18 like really reset her. Because she had a very poor back 9. You're right. And I think the birdie on 18 really like, sneakily, nobody really talked about Nelly around here yesterday afternoon when the round was done. And I was like, what are we doing? Like, people think that like she's like out of this tournament. She's 2 back. Like, this isn't crazy. And I thought, that she was going to come out and like take control of this tournament. And that's, she kind of did. She had a birdie on 5 and then got to 6 with that, a bad bogey, and then immediately bounced back and birdied 8 or birdied 7 and got to birdied 9, excuse me. And it's just like she can't control it. It's a traffic jam. It's a snowball that just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And next thing you know, you can see it in her eyes. Like, that's the bad thing about it, is that she has this look of like, oh man, like it's not like really happening again. It's like, it's just happening. And you're like, you feel horrible for her because she did everything right this week. I think nobody talked about the fact that like she changed her putter after how amazing she's putted so far this year until Thursday morning on radio. And Randy and I were talking about it. And then all of a sudden you got the big J's finally in the press conferences asking questions about the putter change. And she's like, yeah, it's very simple. Like, it's windy. The greens are a lot slower than I'm used to playing. I needed more weight in a putter. And the mallet that she switched to provided her weight, and she could keep her same stroke, and they would roll the same ways that it would roll back at home for her practicing, and she wouldn't have to change anything. And I was like, wow, through the first 2 rounds, I was like, what a genius decision.
Yeah.
You know, I don't see anybody else. You usually talk about like wedges and everything else like that. Nope, not for Nelly. She's like, I know I need to make putts, and this is how I'm going to do it. And I figured out, you know, the new piece of equipment that's going to help me do that. But I feel the most comfortable. And I was like, yeah, you got it going on. But, you know, what you guys haven't talked about yet is that I really wanted Nelly to win this event because I think it would be great for the women's game. But as soon as I saw her this morning and I saw the look, I was like, this ain't happening, because Nike absolutely screwed her giving her black waterproof pants and took the burgundy away.
I think yes.
Can I leave this on a bit of a positive note when it comes to Nelly, though, of like, man, this was like the tournament I needed her to be in and compete and hit the shots and you know, and she did that for 98% of it, right? This was a proper test. And if she'd have got, you know, if she'd have missed the cut here, I'd have been very, very, very concerned, right?
So, yeah.
As much as we're zooming in on how it did not happen for her at the end, like, that was one of the realest tests we'll ever see on the men's or women's side in terms of what is demanded of a golfer. And she handled so much of it really, really, really well.
Perfectly said. And I'm glad you did say that, because Cody and I were talking last night before we went to bed. You know, it's almost like the Logan Roy from Succession. Like, if you didn't make the cut this week in these conditions, and
you're unserious.
Yeah, just, I don't want to hear it.
We just can't consider you serious at this moment. And not only did Nelly make the cut, but Soly, to your point, like, she played really well for most of this tournament. And so it's not like she's unserious. It's not like, you know, in our parlance, she's not a fluffer. There's just something weird going on where it does feel, though, like she somehow lacks a killer instinct. But then it's like, well, she's won 6 times and won 5 times. It's like, it's just all these juxtapositions. And honestly, it's fascinating. Like, it really is. So,
I mean, you're right.
I don't know where I net out.
We want to say, you know, we talked a lot this year, the similarities between Scotty and Nelly, but really, like, at the end of the day, it's Rory and Nelly who have way more in common. They win in buckets, and those are great wins. Don't get me wrong. They're just not the wins that, like, we kind of want from our capital P, you know, proper players. And that stinks, because she has an amazing season going. I will say that there is some things that she can look at as she goes about. Like, she does not have like a crazy good links golf record. And you know, this is definitely
the Scottish every year.
Yeah,
too.
her best performance. She probably could look at skipping the Scottish, but I understand this year because of the Olympics.
True.
You know, there's a lot going on. And then I think back to it, I'm like, well, she didn't play like anything else in July. The only event outside of like preparing for the Olympics was the Evian. She didn't play good at the Evian. And then before that, in June, she missed every cut. She missed 3 cuts in a row. So those 3 missed cuts, a T26. And then if you go look at her results, they're all wins. So it's hard to poke a lot of holes in it.
Yeah. Well, let's I think Nelly's going to continue to be fascinating. I can't wait to see her the rest of the year. I want to talk about Lilia Vu for a few minutes. You know, that last little hiccup on 18, Soly, you said cost her close to $300,000. That's super tough. Unfortunate for her. I was shocked that she left that first putt that short. I would have bet all the money in my bank account that she was going to give that a run. So that's disappointing. But I do think Lilia, like, she instills more confidence in me than Nelly. I think like today coming down the back 9, I always kind of felt like it was going to be Lilia. She and fair or not, again, like, I just feel like she has a knack for that birdie putt on 12 that she ran in. Like, she had no business making that birdie putt and coming off 2 bogeys. Like, I feel like she has a knack for just finding that birdie when she absolutely has to. And I don't know. She kind of remains a killer in my mind, even though she comes up short. But I mean, hell of a title defense. Soly, do you feel that way about Lily? Like, straight up, who do you kind of have more confidence in down the stretch?
I want to first give credit to you, Big. You have been steadfast in whenever like we slip up and are not talking Lilia enough, you will plant your flag and say like, don't forget about Lilia. Don't forget about Lilia. Like, so credit to you on that one. Second, like, all right. I this is maybe too much of an excuse to give her, but like I saw like the look in her eyes on 17 while she's waiting of the absolute frustration and pace of play of when you are playing with a very slow player. And I think they were put on the clock. Confirmed, were they put at that final?
They were not put on the
Were
clock.
not put on the clock. People on Twitter were saying that they were, but I mean, the final group is finished out on 18, and Jie Shin is taking forever with her third shot there. And Lilia is standing up right by the road hole bunker. She's looking at her, like watching this unfold, leaning on her putter, like looks down the 18th hole. And it was like, I know that feeling of like, fuck, we're behind and it's not my fault, but I'm the only one that cares about this thing. And it's the worst place to be on a golf. It is so unnerving. And like the only way to explain the putt on 18 is like she was unnerved, right? Like she was taken out of that moment. And I did not. There's some pace stuff that was going on that I think is St. Andrews and conditions more driven than it was slow players. But then there's also like very clearly when that group fell behind, it was very clearly Jie Shin that was causing that. And it's really unfortunate that again, it's too much of an excuse to say that cost Lilia the championship and maybe a little bit over dramatic, but it played a factor because she just looked kind of, I don't want to say lifeless on the back nine, just like her. She did not look locked in. She did not seem locked in. She got visibly frustrated on an approach shot on a 16. I think she swore at it in the broadcast, like, oh, it wasn't pleased with that one. And it just was like, that didn't seem like the attitude, a typical Lilia attitude with 3 holes left in a major championship. And I again, maybe I'm projecting all that pace stuff, but it looked like it had it played a role in how she handled that finishing stretch. It was just unfortunate.
Definitely did. See, they were very chatty on the front nine on their way out, and by the time we came, wrapped back around and got to 12T, it was a completely different story. There's no longer chatty, and it's easy to say, oh, yep, we're on the final 9, we're coming home in a major championship, but it's. I want to point out that GI was attempting to continue conversations. And Lilia was not having any of it. Like, yo, man, like, we got to go. We got to get this thing going.
She's a killer.
This is not the way this is going to go down. And she had enough of it. And I'll say, I think it definitely affected her on 10 and 11. 11 is such a tough par 3. And, she hit a shot that was way too spinny. She knew the contact was off. And when she watched it, like, float just way too far right, she knew that was going to be trouble from there, but unforced, 3 putt. And I think really when we got down to it, you talked about the 16th hole and she had a really good lie in that rough left to 16. And it was on a little bit of an upslope. And she almost it looked like she got like crazy steep, but like just kind of straight up chunked it. And it was this high, weird spinner and was helped a little bit by the wind, pushing it more right to left than it probably should have, but left herself way too big of a leave there. And, GI is just kind of making a mess of things. And that's really it was kind of chilly between the two then. And then that's when it was like, yo, man, let's go. I'm trying to grind on shit and be in this tournament. And, it just wasn't happening. By the time we got to 17, though, I think Lilia knew. She looked at the scoreboard. She knew where Nelly was at, and she knew what she had to do on 17, and just left those 2 putts, like you said, short coming in. It's just such a disappointment. I know she felt that. Cole felt it. He was very chatty on the back 9, which is interesting. I thought it was because Lilia was no longer talking to him, but I think he was just trying to let stress out. Another fun thing of when you're in the ropes and you're walking right next to him, he is one that's just we'll talk and just tries to keep it as chill and relaxed and tries to relax her when she was, sitting there digging deep for it.
Yeah. A few things to add. Lilia has a bad back. And if you want to talk about the 2 things that are terrible when you have a bad back, it's cold weather and then just standing around, just waiting, right? And so I'm sure that plays a little bit of a factor. I'll also maintain I think it was probably a bad break that her drive hit the road on 18 and bounced up as close to the green as it did. I think she would much rather have a full swing wedge into 18 than having to play that little 32-yard pitch shot.
Yep.
So that's unfortunate.
Putter.
She should have not have hit that pitch shot.
Putter.
You know, there are so many other options, and she's pulled those shots off, you know, all week. And I could not believe that she tried to hit it that high, and like from that position. You just that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Soly, I fully expect to hit that shot tomorrow. I guarantee you my drive's going to end up right there. And I'm going to be like, oh, I'm going to hit this, high floaty nipper or something like that. Probably blow in the grandstand.
Soly's saying putter. Would you give thought to putter?
100% I would.
Yeah.
Are you first time playing the old tomorrow, Cody?
It is.
That's
Breaking
exciting.
news. First time on the old tomorrow for me, but the big fella, he's going to hold my hand around here.
Yeah. So I don't know. Lily is great. I just think she is a freaking fighter. I feel like she's got maybe the most killer tendencies of anybody out on the LPGA tour right now. And I thought she showed flashes of that.
Just
real quick,
healthy.
quick on that too. Like just pausing, like almost both Nelly and Lilia almost just got into the club that Lydia just got into.
Yeah.
Like the three major
right.
club. Like it's hard to knit too close, like pick too closely. I mean, Lilia won 2 majors last year. This would have been another year with a major win in a year where she's battled injuries. It's just, it's just worth highlighting how they're both Lilia and Nelly in playing this good of golf, number 1 and number 2 in the world, both with the chance to win on the back nine at the old course. Like this was a freaking awesome golf tournament, man. It was the venues matter, man. They really, really, really do. And it was just incredible to watch from the jump on Thursday. I mean, it was, I'm sure in person, you guys are just buzzing.
Yeah, no, I mean, it truly was that, Soly. Like that goes back to Thursday, right? When they put Lilia, Charlie, and Nelly all together. I'm thinking, God, they've just jinxed it. Like, no way they're all three going to play well. But those three balled out the first 2 rounds. And so from the jump, this event was awesome. And with Charlie Hall being the first round leader, like it checked every box throughout the week. And the conditions were always present. The course played amazing. It feels elevated. Like, kudos to the RNA. Like, we get to do radio, that they have radio, wall-to-wall radio coverage at this event. This is it, man. In the women's game, like, it feels like the U.S. Open and the British Open are lifting and separating from the other 3 majors. And yeah, it's venues, it's build out, it's everything like that. I don't want to get out of this discussion with at least recognizing Ronning Yin, and she battled her fucking ass off. 21 years old. Like, she showed me this week, like, she's amazing. Like, she's every bit deserving to be among the world class. And like, we need to be talking about her when we get to serious events. Bad side of the draw, hung in there. Like, her play coming down the stretch, she burned edges on 16 and 17, needing birdies to try to catch the lead. She was the one, like, outside of Lydia today, that I come away with thinking, like, holy shit, what a day she had. I don't know if Soly, if that really came through on TV or not, but I just need to call her out as well.
You're baiting me into TV stuff that I'm not ready to do just yet. But
okay,
well, let me sing her praises. I think, we talk about the draw and how difficult it was. That first day, we all knew. We talked about it in the happy hour. We knew that it was going to be frisky, and she went out and shot 68 in that weather and was like, wow, that's crazy good. Only matched by Charlie, which Charlie went out in the afternoon, and it was completely different playing conditions there. But Ronnie hung in there, shot even par second round, 1 over yesterday, and then that 70 today, when, like, really, she wasn't in the conversation. She forced herself to be in the conversation. She's already a major champion. Like, I'm right there with you. Big time stuff. Is there anything else before? I think we need to talk about the course. We need to do a little Amsterdam and everything, but let's shout out some people here as we scroll down this leaderboard.
Yeah, can we do like a little in honor of TC? Is there like little music we can play or anything? Good to see Arya Jatanagarn. Honestly,
seriously,
major champion, former number 1. That's like somebody made the point on Twitter, like the top 6 finishers on this leaderboard have all been world number ones at some point. It's just ridiculous. And I think, again, points out like, hey, you want to talk about a venue that brought out the best of the best? There's your evidence. I had 5 names, so I'll go through them very quickly. Actually, T7 was Cassandra Alexander, like had never finished better than 72nd in a major champion, a late qualifier into this event, a career week for her. So kudos to her, the South African. I have Alexa Pano. Cody, you've been on her blog. I was super impressed. I thought she was going away Saturday. She did not. I thought she was going away today. She hung in there, just turned 20 years old. Very excited about her future. Angel Yin is somebody, obviously, we're all a big fan of Angel. I think she showed enough for sure to be a captain's pick for the Solheim Cup. She finished T12 and coming off a T2, her last start in Portland, has experience. Like, she answered the bell this week. Hat tip to her. And she's somebody else that's told us in the past, Cody, like, I want to play hard courses. Why don't they set up courses harder on the LPGA tour? And we get to a hard course and she plays good golf. Like, back to Logan Roy. She's a serious person. Last 2, Lynn Grant. God, I wish she could have had a better opening round, because it seemed like she was starting to play better every single day. Her fit was like, do the kids still say like on fleek? Is that a word?
I don't know. Let me see if Jordan's around.
Yeah, bring Jordan.
No. Jordan said
no,
we're not saying
no longer on fleek.
Okay, we're not saying on fleek. She inexplicably doubled 18 on Thursday, like the first person ever in this event on the women's side to double 18. So props to her. And then
that's incredible.
My last one was Charlie Hall. I don't know if you guys want to talk about Charlie Hall. I mean, disappointing weekend. I don't know. Maybe we just chalk it up to she didn't have it. Maybe it's the pressure. I don't know, Cody. Is there anything more to read into Charlie?
I mean, we talked about her start, right? 67, 72, 75, 75. That just ain't it. But, she made the big mistake that you can't do around the old course, and that's hit it in these bunkers. It's kind of the same thing. I know it's taken off since, but Rose is in the same boat. You can't hit these bunkers and expect to act like it's some, course in the middle of Michigan where you can just advance whatever club out of it and you're going to be fine. You got to learn how to play it. And that just clearly wasn't the case. Disappointing, though, Charlie. A lot of people around here super disappointed, because the weird thing is that she ended up finishing at 1 over. Georgia finished at 2 over, and a lot more people were more bullish on Georgia than they were on Charlie. Georgia obviously had a huge miss up Saturday, shot 76. But I'll say this, after watching golf this weekend, as an American fan for the Solheim Cup, I am scared shitless, because the European squad is like operating on full cylinder right now. You're at Carlota, which, again, I'm surprised when we talk about pace of play, her name usually comes up. Absolute killer. It's just like
even Leona found a little bit of form. Like,
Albane Venezuela came out of nowhere, shot 66 on Saturday. Like, it's one of those things where I had a couple run-ins with Captain Suzanne Pedersen, and it's funny because she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm monitoring my team and how they're doing this weekend," fully knowing that like everybody around her is like, "Oh, her picks have already been done." Like, it's honestly the play doesn't really matter. She's dead solid, like rock solid, locked in with the team that they have. I guess they're already aware of it, and to include captain's picks. So I'm sorry for the people, I guess, who listen to this, who haven't been talked to.
I didn't make the team.
But whoops, that's eventually going to happen. Whereas obviously, Stacy's going about it a different way. So we'll see what it happens. But man, Team Europe absolutely on fire right now. And you look at the team that they took last year, it'll probably be like Gemma Dryberg's probably not going to be on that team, and I'd say Caroline Headwall are going to be the two really that stick out.
I know.
You have so many options of others, like Linnea Strom is in the picture now. Like, she won a couple weeks ago, had a good finish here. Like, it's somebody who can go deep. And I think, like, when you talk about a Solheim Cup, you want somebody who's like gonna make a ton of birdies.
Yeah, you're right. And I think we can. Well, I'd be shocked if Esther Hensleit didn't. Like, she has to have one of those Gemma or a Headwall Right. So she's one of the new ones in, and so it really comes down to that last pick. I will say though, like, look at the Americans, Angel, Nelly, Lilia, like it's going to be a good Solheim Cup here in a couple weeks.
Couple other shout outs I'll say before as we continue down this leaderboard. I didn't expect Lexi to play the golf that she did. She fucking battled her ass off, and fully knowing that this is not only the last time she'll be at the old course playing in AIG Women's Open, but more than likely the last AIG Women's Open ever. She hung tough and she got that fight. And for somebody who is like pending retirement right now, I just didn't expect her to be like grinding it out the way that she was, which makes me think of like, are we going to see her more than we imagine? Like, is she just saying that she's not going to play a full season, but she's going to be very selective at these big time events and she's going to show up?
Truly have no idea.
Oh,
I was surprised to see the
truly.
wave on the bridge. I was surprised by this. I thought it was. I thought the whole thing was like, no, she's going to play majors. I don't know what she'd need to do to qualify. I'm sure.
I
it wouldn't
just
be
don't
too
think
hard
she
to
likes
do.
traveling. She doesn't even play like the Evian. So I'm sure she's like, who was it a couple years ago? Bubba, when he's like, ew, they have weird food. Like, I'm sure she just doesn't like British fare.
Yeah. All right, shout outs real quick, Solly, because you said venues matter. I want to tell people next year this event's going to Royal Porthcawl in Wales. Our guy Marcus Buckland, who we worked with all week, we were like, yeah, what's that going to be like? Better weather than this? He's like, honestly, I went a couple years ago for the Senior Open. He was like,
it was biblical.
yeah, he's like, that's the worst conditions I've ever encountered. And you're like, cool.
Got that to look for.
And then we know in 2026 it's going to Royal Lytham and St. Anne. Solly, you know all these. Yeah, that's good, right?
Oh, very good, very very good. Porthcawl
Okay.
is great for the women's game. Like I don't think the men's game would fit on. I've never been to Porthcawl, but I think I've watched the Senior Open there. I've seen enough of that golf course. It's probably a top 10 or 15 course in the world that I want to play that I haven't been to. Like it should be really cool. It doesn't have the same gravitas, obviously, as some of these other courses that are on the men's rota, but a worthwhile thing to do, I think.
Come on over with us next year. You're not going to be busy.
You have so many kids, though, man.
I know.
Hey, the other thing that we need to talk about, I think I'm going to bring JP in because, obviously, very, very happy to have JP part of the team here, but she's like the expert when it comes to the amateur game. I'm going to do my best to buffer her background noise here. But let's talk about the Smith Salver. Lottie Woad, hell of a year. Obviously won at Anwa, has competed in almost every major, I'm pretty sure, this year, but ends up winning the Smith Salver Award by a pretty good margin. JP.
Yeah, first of all, I just want to flex a little because I was totally all in on Lottie Woad from Friday onward, and she did it. But anyway,
just really going out on a limb there with the number one ranked woman in the world too.
Okay, JP. When Luis Rydquist shoots a bogey-free 67 and someone named TC, makes me feel a little bit bad for picking Lottie. I just have to put that out there. So anyway,
never mind. If you want to stunt on TC, please take a few more minutes. Take all
the
the time
floor
you
is
want.
yours.
Okay. Yeah. No, but yeah, just a tremendous year for Lottie. I think in watching her since Anwa, I've grown to really, really appreciate the kind of golf she plays because I think it's a game that's going to end up translating extremely well professionally. The versatility of the courses that she's performed well on, her, let me just put this into better context. Wins at Augusta National, won at Carnoustie a few years ago. Now is the Low-Am at the old course.
Yeah, that's not bad.
That's some serious stuff. That's some serious stuff.
Not only that, she is playing like an obviously very respectable amateur schedule, but she's going up against the best like in the women's game and holding her own and like not even holding her own, like making people ashamed of themselves.
Yeah. There's times where I struggle to really understand just how well of a litmus test college golf can be on the women's side specifically. and the courses they play and kind of the style of golf they're generally playing in college golf. And I think Lottie is someone who kind of supersedes all of that and is just has such a bevy of good experience. I mean, gosh, I got to watch her a little bit today, just passing through, just kind of checking out some of the conditions up on the back nine, and I just watched her pipe it on 14, which was not an uncommon thing for her to do. I just really wasn't surprised. I was like, cool, this is just Lottie Road stuff into like 35-mile-per-hour gusts. It felt like cool, sweet. Um, and so I remember I asked her in quick quotes afterward today. I was like, "Have you just always kind of been that way? Like, did Anwar kind of give you that boost to keep being so confident and so aggressive?" And she's like, "Well, I've kind of always been that way. I mean, she's like, I tried to tailor it back to be a little bit smarter, but honestly, I was focusing on the people ahead of me, not behind me." And then I
Yeah.
asked her, "Well, did you come into this weekend trying to win this?" And she's like, why not? There was nothing to lose. And sorry, guys.
Yeah, I do have like major concerns though. Not about her game at all, but like her swing. I feel like her back could be in for a reckoning there at how like the position that she's in impact, and then really like her coming through. It seems like she arches her back so hard. It literally the dad back in me, Saul, you have to feel this too. It like sends like shivers down my spine. I'm like, oh my goodness, hold on a second. To be young again.
I'm not smart enough to see that stuff. Jordan, I'll just say I picked up on that too, watching her Lottie today. Like, she was legitimately pissed making bogeys. Like, it wasn't like, oh, I'm just out here having fun, I'm gonna be low am. Like, she wanted to win the golf tournament, and that was really cool to see.
Yeah, there was a pretty deep emotional investment in this event. She touched on that a little bit after her round today, but on Friday specifically, I noticed there were a lot of birdie opportunities that she missed, even though she had a good round, and she was visibly frustrated. And I didn't really see a ton of that during Anwar week, so I found it to be pretty curious. But she said, this is the one that's been on her calendar, that's been marked. She's been looking forward to this since she won Anwar. She basically kind of tailored her entire summer for this week and for the Curtis Cup. So this was kind of, and I thought I love that. That was so refreshing to hear, because I think you never really get into like a lot of these specifics of how amateurs are tailoring their summer or what they're doing, et cetera, et cetera. And I appreciated that because she kind of just the way that she's talking, the way that she's performing. I'm just like, gosh, you're just really giving me like pro vibes. Like, you are a legit number one. Because sometimes I feel like Swagger can be a little misleading. Okay.
Oh, it
We can get
100%
into
Sure,
is.
yeah.
we can get into that conversation another day, but she's a legitimate number one. And I honestly, guys, I was familiar with Lottie Wode's game, but truly coming out of this week, I'm kind of a big Lottie Wode fangirl now. Like, I am all in on Lottie Wode, and I'm curious to see how she does next week at the Curtis Cup, because I mean, not only is she a good match play player, but I think the interesting part of it is her team is not favored. She might be the number one amateur in the world, but GB&I is not favored in the Curtis Cup. So I'm curious to see how much carrying she might have to do, how much it would benefit them. It's just a tremendous week for her. I think, after Saturday when Luis Rehnquist kind of played out of it, it kind of looked inevitable for Lottie. But today, Julia Lopez Ramirez kind of had a nice run this morning, and then she bogeyed 4 holes in a row. I think it was like 14, 15, 16, and 17. So at that point, it was Lottie's. But just a tremendous day from her. Yeah, I can't say enough good things about Lottie Wode.
Yep, you said she's off to the Curtis Cup next week at Sunningdale, captained by Katrina Matthew. And surprisingly, Katrina played in this Open Championship, missed the cut, retired, had Lexi's moment on Friday on the Swilken Bridge. Who would have thought?
That was cool though.
But
They Stacey Lewis like kind of called her back to like
No, you
She
gotta go
has
do
that
that.
Scottish modesty.
Yeah.
She did not want to do that. Jordan, I just quickly get you out with this question. First time out of the country, good trip. How'd you find Scotland? How'd you find St. Andrews?
I've been really trying hard all week to not make my first time out of the country being my one personality trait, but it's the one thing people have been asking me all week. And I'm really kind of leaning into it, I think I came into the week feeling really overwhelmed and just like hoping I, could do a good job and that I would beat jet lag and all these things. And I, you know, I think there's just a sense of like warmness and excitement. And I think St. Andrews really, I was talking to someone about this. It kind of takes you, it kind of really removes you from modern life in the coolest way. And
Well said.
I was just so into it, and sometimes you need that. And as much as I love the States and America and all that stuff, I I truly I love St. Andrews. I loved the old course. I think it was even cooler than I could imagine. I wrote this in a article. I mean, first of all, I think people might have been concerned for me on Thursday as I was walking the course and I stared at one too many of pop bunkers. Like I was like transfixed, and I think it was probably really concerning. But I was like, holy moly! Like they're that deep, they're that tall. I'm 5'2", by the way, so like
Jordan, I was gonna
that's a
say
nightmare scenario.
you fallen one, we might lose it. You might never get out.
Yeah,
Jordan, I got a
I
question
know.
for you. I think you've been an excellent addition. We forced you to do a lot of firsts this week, so we kind of surprised you. We have to do a stage session here in the fan village, and everybody knew that Randy and I were going to do it, but we made Jordan go up there with us. She
Shout out
rocked
our
it.
guy Richard, by the way.
Yeah, shout out to Richard and the stage crew, and also Richard's buddy, who we have to say selfies and send and
doing
everything.
King Lear.
But no,
in
honestly,
Dallas. Yeah.
Richard's awesome. And you rocked it. And we forced you to come on radio. And I know uncomfortable it was, but you rocked it. Like truly, it's been incredible seeing you come into your own and not just, do what you're really good at. And that's writing and everything else. So what are the people to expect? Right? What are you writing about tonight? Because I'm curious.
I'm writing Lydia Ko, of course.
Woo!
And I don't know. Cody, we talked about this a lot, not on the last LPG episode we did before the deep dive. We talked about this a little bit in like how I could relate to Lydia Ko in the small ways that I can. I kind of see a lot of myself in her, and like I appreciate just how forthcoming she is and how she's always kind of willing to give you that window into her soul a little. And I don't know. I could listen to her talk all day, but certainly there's elements of Lydia Ko's career and kind of this final part and the past year of it that I feel, could tie into some of my own recent experiences. And so, yeah, that's gonna go deep into that. Kind of got in my feels when I saw Lydia watching Lilia miss her putt on 18. I mean, she just the biggest weight kind of fell off her shoulders. I mean, she was nervously kind of standing with her husband for some time and clutching onto him. And I thought I don't know, just seeing that in person was just so touching. It was awesome.
Well, yeah, I agree. I can't wait to read what you get, but we'll let you out here and let you get back to riding as we continue to go down the leaderboard or get to Amsterdam.
No, we're not going down the leaderboard. Thank you, Jordan. Her piece will be up at nolayingup.com ASAP.
Quickly. Can I share my favorite Lydia Ko quote from the week?
Is it going to spoil your piece?
Maybe a little bit.
Hold that.
Come
you gotta
on,
keep
what are you
that
doing?
chambered.
But that's just a heck of a tease. If you want to read it, you can find that at nolayingup.com.
Exactly.
There you go.
Expertise there, JP. No, we're gonna
awesome
save
work, JP.
Thank you. before we wrap up, and I want to talk.
Wrapping. We got so much left to go. I hit a shank on live TV.
No, I'm not. You didn't let me finish. We're gonna get into our radio experience and all the shit we did. Soly, I do want to ask you, because my Menchies were just blowing up. I hate to turn the tone of this conversation.
KVV tagged you in a Louisville PD tweet too.
No, it wasn't that.
Jeez.
What was the coverage like back stateside? What was it like watching this event on television?
Guys, before we get there, I got some I need you to cover for me real quick.
Okay. Look, Jordan said she loved hearing from Lydia Ko, hearing a lot of what she had to say. Why don't we bring in Lydia Ko to the show and congratulate the AIG Women's Open champion, Lydia Ko.
Thank you, guys. Crazy last few hours. I don't even know what's happening right now.
Well, you're on. Go ahead, Randy.
Yeah, no, Lydia, I mean, you played, we were talking about it earlier in the show. You played the most consistent golf that the conditions and the course demanded of you all week. It was, at the beginning of the week, it wasn't quite clear who was going to emerge, but by the end of this tournament, it was only going to be you. And my question to you is, if you could have picked one major and one course, I mean, could you have picked a better place than the old course this week? It just seems like the perfect place for you to capture your third major championship.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like these past 3 weeks have been, I'm like a character in a fairy tale. Too good to be true, things happening again and again and again. This is my second time playing at St. Andrews, and I think when I first came here as a 16-year-old, I didn't really understand, how historic and iconic this place is. But now that I'm a little older, I think I've gotten to realize like how amazing and how lucky I am just to be here. And I just had so much fun, and I think because it was so windy, at times like all I could do was just laugh because I hadn't seen a ball like react like that in the air. My warm-up session on Thursday was the most ridiculous warm-up session I've ever done before teeing it up at a tournament. And but here I am, and to say that I just won the Women's Open, it's crazy. And even when I hold the putt on the 18th, I don't think I realized like, oh, I could potentially win this thing.
Yeah. What we saw you, the TV picked you up coming down 18. You looked just carefree. You and Alexa were just, it looked like you guys were just talking about whatever you're talking about. I mean, how did you keep that, at least outwardly, you looked so calm? What were those emotions like inside, I guess?
Yeah, I said the 18th and first hole is the narrowest 100-yard fairway ever. Because it's so wide that like you really shouldn't miss it, but then you just say never, right? But yeah, I've been paired up with Alexa quite a few times, over these past couple years, and she's somebody that I really enjoy playing with, and same for like Mr. Pano. But we were just enjoying it. We were laughing about how windy it was, and I said, like, I'm probably not going to be able to walk straight, and I'm probably leaning in some direction now. And yeah, it's just, I think we were like both just talking about, this whole week as a whole. And I knew that I don't know when the Women's Open is returning here, but it always seems like it's a while till, it rotates back. And I think by that time I probably won't be playing, so this could potentially be my last time walking down over the bridge and down the 18th hole. And yeah, just to be able to finish off with a birdie on any championship 72nd hole is a great feeling, and for that to be the clinching shot for me to win is pretty awesome.
Yeah, incredibly cool. And I know you mentioned the next time, and you're coming off your Olympic gold medal to add to your silver and bronze, and it seems like you're playing such good golf right now. And in our world, in the media world, everybody is like, well, when's Lydia like retiring? Like, when's she going away? Which seems so weird to me.
Yeah, it's I think I don't know at what age I said it, but I said I want to retire when I'm 30. And not a, somebody in the press conference asked me earlier this week and said, "Do you think it's a love-hate relationship with golf?" And I was like,
Yeah.
"Of course." And some
Yeah.
days just hate, hate, hate. And I mean, a day like today is just all love. But I mean, we all play this sport. One day you turn up and you feel great, and you shoot 68, and then one day you shoot a 78, and it really wasn't that far different. So for me, I'm just enjoying this moment. But I've had my fair share of ups and downs, and I'm excited for these next 3 weeks, just to be able to celebrate and take everything in, and also just assess everything going forward. But this is not the last tournament I'm, playing in. There's still a lot of golf ahead. But I'm just excited for the future, and I'm excited for, those questions about, are you going to win a major again? Are you going to get in the Hall of Fame? All those things to be done. And I mean, August has been a hell of a month.
Yeah.
That's an
Seriously.
understatement. That's an understatement. Lydia, your day to day, I'm just wondering as you start to decompress a little bit. I mean, the shot that sticks with me, and I think the shot that will stick with me is, I assume it was maybe a 3-wood into 17 when the rain was sideways. What do you think your best shot out there was today?
Yeah, probably the 17th hole. It doesn't matter if you've got a 10-shot lead, or you're from behind, or you teed off first thing this morning, or the last group out. The 17th hole is like in your head. And it was in my head even before I teed off. But the good thing about having such a long distance in is that I knew that even if I smoked my 3-wood, it was never going to be long. So the road was
Yeah.
completely out of play, which was, it was great to have that, one part off. It was raining and gray, and I don't have very good eyesight anyway. So I just said, I just got to put a solid, contact on it, and just commit to it and see what happens. And for me to, hit it on the same tier and make a pretty stress-free par in the end on that hole. I think that was probably the biggest, sigh of relief. And, that hole can get to you. But, I parred it all 4 times this week. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things that I'm proud of.
Lydia, the old course at St. Andrews is like a 20,000 piece puzzle, right? It's not, you can't just sit down and solve it. You join an incredible list of champions on this golf course. What have you learned about this golf course that has allowed you to have the week where you beat all of the best players in the world? How would you describe the strategy and the execution test of the old course?
I think when I actually played here in 2013, the first day we had no wins, and I came off the golf course thinking, you know what, this is like quite playable. It's and it was very comparative to Hoy Lake the year before, and I was like, oh, this is easy. I think I'm gonna have a good week. And then Friday came, and the weather god was like, you're gonna get humbled real quick. And it was some of the toughest conditions I had played in. And I think because that was so tough, going forward, I never take, a good sunny day for granted. I'm like, okay, this is Scotland, it could change in a heartbeat. And I think when we did get rain and wind, I was like, welcome to Scotland, they say. So I was just like laughing over it. But yeah, sometimes it was really difficult because I was aiming 50 yards left of where I wanted the ball to finish. And just with my shot shape, the front line was hard sometimes to commit to aiming so far left. Because of the wind. But, I think for the most parts, I really trusted my lines, and I feel like my ball striking has improved this past couple months. And I think that really was crucial for me coming down the stretch in Paris, and then definitely here with some, dramatic holes to finish.
Well, we're going to let you go here. I know you got some celebrating to do, but do I hear you also have maybe some golf travel coming up soon? Maybe kind of far away from where you are now, but similar style of play. Is that right?
Yeah, I have a couples golf trip to Bandon Dunes next weekend.
Let's go.
Yes.
I've personally never been there. Heard a lot of amazing things about it, but our friends sent us like a weather forecast, and it looked very similar to the temperature here. And I'm pretty sure it's gonna be windy. So at least I'm ready for what's ahead. But after that, I am excited to just see my ball curve less than like 20 yards from left to right. And yeah, it's just going to be nice to have some time off and, be home and spend some time with my husband and my puppy as well.
That's awesome. Like, have an absolute blast. You guys, she's one of us. She's
I know,
excited to go
I
to
know,
band, and I
I
love
know.
it. Lydia, again, congratulations. 2024 AIG Women's Open. It's incredible. You've had an incredible August, just like you said. But
in Hall of Fame.
yeah,
Congrats
Hall of
on the
Fame.
Hall of
What a
Fame.
month. Have a
Lydia,
month, why
look
don't
at
you?
it.
I should change my birthday to August of 2024.
God, that's so cool. Anyway, enjoy the rest of the night. Have some drinks. Enjoy your family and friends. But congratulations from all of us, and thank you for joining
Thank
the
you,
show.
Thank you, Lydia.
Thank you for having me.
Yep,
Bye,
congratulations.
Cheers.
See ya.
How about that, guys?
Oh,
That's
what a
pretty
world.
cool. Pretty
What a
cool.
world. This is nuts. TC in here. Lydia's going to be a big fan of trails. Of course, TC. Thank you for joining the program. Anybody else who wants to, this is at the moment of the show where I'm going to start reading the chat.
Well,
we originally put an hour governor on this, and then we found out that Lydia was going to join the show, and I think we're all like, oh, we got to go.
I'm like,
come on.
Another hour, baby. Let's go.
I was having a nightmare. I thought you were going to make me Amsterdam while she's waiting in the background.
Well, that's where Randy was going.
Well, I'm like, dude, I'm on cloud 9 now. Like, I don't even want to ask you about that.
No,
I don't want
I-
to kill the buzz. Listen, I think the coverage was what we all know and expected to be. Unfortunately,
it was worse than that. That's the problem.
Yeah. It just,
It's
it's
Well, I'll say this. Okay, so it was worse than we expected it to be. I'll say it's very interesting that the default excuse for a lot of the issues that you had, Soly, and you're viewing today, and the people listening, is because it comes down to the world feed. But I also know that these are the same companies that are paying money for these rights, and if they wanted their own feed, they would invest in that and actually make it happen. And that's not happening. So I think we could go around and have the same conversation that we always have, but it's just bad. I know you said, what was that, yesterday, that they didn't even have audio for a while?
Yeah, in the middle of the broadcast yesterday, they just lost their audio, and then all of a sudden they picked up with this, what I assume to be the Sky audio at a certain point. But it was just like, as it got really action-packed, at one point they went 4 golf shots in between commercials, and then they were in commercial while Nelly was hitting her approach into the 17th hole, the whole course. It's just again, they didn't show a shot on the 72nd hole of a major earlier this year, right? So it's not like the standard hasn't been set though, and it's just kind of is what it is, and it's always going to be. And it just doesn't mean that they get off the hook for us calling it out, right? That's where you wave the ultimate white flag of just you do not want me to mention butchering one of the coolest golf tournaments I've watched this year. I'm sorry, it has to at least be mentioned, but nothing new, no new ground to cover other than just really, really, really maddening. So, and then also throwing the trophy ceremony to Peacock and then have it not be there was the extra middle finger.
Yeah, chef's kiss there. Well, I don't want to end on that note. Cody, this was, last year we went to Walton Heath. We got to be a part of the IMG radio production for this championship.
RNA radio.
For RNA radio. Yep. And we had a blast. It was truly the highlight of the year. And we walked out of there saying this is the week. We circled it on the calendar. And so here we are, another week in the books. Just this is the best. It just is so much fun being part of the team. And I want to shout those guys out here in a minute, but what's the one thing that you're going to take with you personally from our experience doing the radio? We did a hit on Sky TV earlier today. What's going to stick with you the most from this week?
The one thing.
Well,
I mean, it's
we could go down the leaderboard.
For sure.
You want to go down the leaderboard?
DC. I wrote about St. Andrews in a gin and tonic, I think, a couple weeks back. People, that's also on nolayingitup.com if people want to go read the blog.
We might need to buy No Laying It Up just to make sure it redirects to nolayingup.com.
Whispering, there's no it.
But in what world would me, Cody McBride, walk over the Swilken Bridge on 18 with the final group with a chance to win a major championship, calling the radio on, it's RNA radio, but it's out on, BBC and Sirius XM and all over the world, and like calling it and describing the situation at hand. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, what the hell, man? Like, 7 years ago, I was literally like living with like 18 Kurdish dudes and like 100 detainees fighting a war, and like here I am, and it's St. Andrews, and that's where I convinced my wife, who knows nothing about golf, to go on her honeymoon with 16 years ago. And it's just like this full circle moment for me, and I get to do it with one of my best friends in you and all these incredible people. Like, it's awesome, man. It's everything. I don't want to get emotional. I got emotional on the damn radio too. My voice started to crack.
Dude,
so
I
don't want to do that again.
I got goosebumps listening to you. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it's just you guys were awesome. Like, it was so natural. Like, you have the perfect radio, like, just like inflection and stuff in the voice. Like, this guy been doing this for 20 years. Like,
I thought you were gonna say the perfect radio face.
Yeah, we do have perfect radio faces. No, I thought the same thing, Soly. Like, Cody, you sound like a 20-year veteran out there. And just more than that, it's like all the little moments that I think play on radio, which is hopefully part of the fun for anybody that listened. Like, our guy Ian Carter of BBC Broadcasting, like at the height of the profession, couldn't be a nicer guy. I'm fishing his media badge out of the burn today. Cody's doing what were you guys calling it? The Solheim Soul Cup,
the Hersheim Cup.
Yeah, I mean, it just is the most fun group of people here. So I want to name names. I want to specifically shout out the whole squad, and God, I'm going to feel bad if I missed anybody. But let's start with Tebby and Ollie, two of the producers. Those guys are awesome. And then the back show, like the people you don't hear from, these guys, it is an unbelievable operation that these guys put together. You got Joe and Jack and Big Al and Karen and Richard and Tilly. Like, they are the people behind the curtain that is just making it all run and making it sound awesome and making us sound good. And then, of course, out the people that you hear on the radio, Marcus and Di in the studio, Ian and Kat, who are
best.
Just the best. We got to have dinner with them this week. Maddie Adams, Amy, Beth, Sophie, Flick, like, just pros, and it's truly a privilege to be able to work with them this week. Like, I can't wait to do it again.
I know, it's one of those things where you're like, oh, we talk about like cool golf trips, right, to destinations. We're like, well, I guess I have to like start planning this for next year. And every single Sunday at AIG Women's Open now, that's exactly what we say when we're saying goodbye. It's like, they're like, oh yeah, so we'll just see you guys in Wales next year. And we're like, yeah, okay, that's cool. I guess we didn't mess it up too bad.
And we're also like slap happy and so tired. And this is the other thing we were saying, is like, it just feels like really rewarding work that we get to do. And we should be tired. We should be exhausted. Like, it's been a freaking hell of a week. And I love spending it with you. I love spending it with Jordan. Soly, anything else?
It's not over for Cody.
Emotional over
we got
here.
Another live show tonight, baby.
Yeah,
This ain't ended.
Well, we're gonna go have a little food, and I think drink a pint or two and celebrate what was just a fantastic week here. I mean, one of the best freaking golf events I've ever been to, and I think everybody watching, hopefully you felt the same way. This was professional golf, like, at its best.
God, well said, guys. Appreciate. Yeah, you guys had me FOMOing hard back home. It would look like an absolute blast, and that shined through in all the content you guys did on the radio and the pod and social media and everything. So congrats on a fantastic week. And I want to come join you one of these years.
Yeah,
2040.
Would love it. And if people are interested, I mean, we're going to be home for a couple weeks, but then we're on the road, man. It's Solheim Cup season, and I'm absolutely jacked up to be outside of Washington, D.C., right? Not for election coverage, but for the Solheim Cup. Randy's going for the other. He's a big protester guy now. But that's, man, a huge shout out to Yeti for making this possible, supporting our LPGA content again. High noon. Soly said it. We're going to be back in a couple hours. Soly, what time do I have to be back for the other live show?
There's only like 4 holes left of the BMW, so we got to get ready for that one. So
after dinner.
Okay.
All right, we'll be back then. But anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. Love every minute of it. We'll be back in a couple hours for BMW Championship recap.
If you're listening on the pod, we're not coming back. This is the end. Good night.
Yeah. Bye-bye.